The great chamber was quiet except for the soft hum of life support systems. Ambassador Hyanwu stood in the center of the massive room, looking up at the hundreds of alien faces staring down at him. His simple white suit looked plain next to all the bright colors and strange shapes of the council members around him. This was his last chance. 3 years he had been coming to this place, asking the same question, getting the same answer. But he had to try one more time. The future of humanity depended on it. Honored council members, Hyanwu began, his voice clear and calm. I stand before you today to ask once more for humanity to join the Galactic Council. Prime Minister Veltar shifted in his floating pod. His purple skin gleamed under the chamber lights as he looked down at the human with tired eyes. 3 years of the same requests, the same presentations, the same promises. He was getting bored of it all. Ambassador, Veltar said, his voice echoing through the chamber. You have shown us your species many times. We have studied your people carefully. Our decision has not changed, Hyanwu nodded slowly. He had expected this, but he still felt a small pain in his chest. May I present our final offer to the council? Veltar waved one of his long arms. You may speak, but we will not change. Our minds. The human touched a device on his wrist, and the air above him filled with moving pictures made of light. The first image showed a bright star with planets around it. One planet was covered in thick, green clouds that looked poisonous. This is Kepler 438b, Hyanwu said. Your scientists said nothing could live there. The air would kill any council species in minutes. The ground is covered with acid that melts metal. The image changed to show people in protective suits walking on the planet's surface. They were building homes, planting crops, and raising children who played in special gardens under glass domes. Humans have lived there for 15 years now. We have cleaned the air in large areas. We grow food that feeds 2 million people. The planet that was worthless is now a home. Council Representative Zexthel made a sound like breaking glass. His crystal body flashed red with annoyance. Yes, we know humans can live anywhere. Like insects, you spread to places where you do not belong. Some council members made sounds of agreement. Others stayed quiet, but Hyanwu could see they were not impressed. The image changed again. Now it showed a hospital where human doctors worked alongside alien patients. A human woman was using tiny machines to help an Altarian grow back his lost arm. Another human was teaching young cetacean children how to breathe underwater using new technology. Our medical science has helped save millions of council citizens, Hyanwu continued. Human doctors work in your hospitals. Human teachers share knowledge in your schools. We ask for nothing but the chance to help more. Help? Zexthel voice was sharp. Or take over. Humans breed too fast. You use too many resources. Every world you touch becomes crowded with your kind. That is not true, Hyanwu said, but his voice stayed calm. Human population growth has been stable for 50 years. We use less resources per person than most council species. Show them. The war records, called out another council member from high up in the chamber. Hyan-Wu, single quotes, S-face grew sad. Yes, humans have fought wars, we have made mistakes. But we have also learned from them. We have not had a major war between human nations for over a century. Because you ran out of enemies on your own planet, Zexthel said with a laugh that sounded like wind chimes. Now you want new worlds to conquer. We want new worlds to explore, Hyanwu corrected. To learn from, to protect. The images changed one more time. Now they showed human ships traveling between stars, carrying supplies. To worlds hit by natural disasters. Human scientists working with alien researchers to find cures for diseases. Human engineers building bridges and cities that could survive on any world. We offer the Council our friendship, Hyanwu said. Our knowledge, our strength, our hope for a better future for all species. The chamber was quiet for a long moment. Then Prime Minister Veltar spoke. The Council has discussed humanity many times. We have read your reports. We have studied your history. We have watched your actions. Hyanwu felt hope rise in his chest. maybe this time would be different. Humans are too dangerous, Veltar continued. You adapt too quickly to new situations. You solve problems in ways that make other species uncomfortable. You do not follow the proper procedures that have kept peace in the galaxy for thousands of years. But sir, Hanwu started to say. The decision is final, Veltar cut him off. We will now vote. The voting was quick. Lights appeared next to each council member's name on the great board at the front of the chamber. Red for no, green for yes, yellow for undecided. Hyan-Wu watched as the lights appeared. Red, red, a few yellow lights. Very few green ones. When it was over, the numbers were clear. 847 red, 12 green, 43 yellow. The council has spoken, Veltar announced. Humanity is denied membership in the Galactic Council. Hyan-Wu stood quietly for a moment, looking up at all the alien faces. Some looked satisfied, others looked sorry. Most just looked bored, already thinking about the next item on their list of things to discuss. I understand, Hyan-Wu said. Finally, humanity thanks the council for considering our request. He bowed deeply, the way his grandfather had taught him to show respect. We will remember your decision, he added quietly. Something in the way he said those words made a few council members look at him more carefully. But most were already talking about other things. Hyan-Wu walked toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the great chamber. At the door, he stopped and looked back one more time at the council that had rejected his people. Then he touched his wrist device and spoke in a voice too low for the aliens to hear. Dayun, begin Protocol 7. The council has made their choice. As the door closed behind him, Hyan-Wu felt something he had not expected. Not anger or sadness, but relief. After 3 years of trying to convince the council that humanity deserved a place among the stars, he was finally free to show them what humans could really do. The council had made their choice. Now humanity would make theirs. In his ship, Hyan-Wu sent a message that would travel faster than light to Earth and every human colony in known space. The message was simple. Pack everything, we're going home. But home, he knew, was no longer a planet or even a star system. Home was wherever humans could build something better than what they were leaving behind. The council wanted them to stay in their place. Now they would see what happened when humans decided to find a new place entirely. Captain So-Young stood on the bridge of her ship, watching through the big window as the space station grew smaller behind them. The research station had been her home for 5 years. She had made friends there, learned new things, and helped discover 3 new types of space plants that could grow food faster than anything known before. Now, she was leaving it all behind. Captain, her communications officer called out. Dr. Vexmar is asking to speak with you again, So-Young sighed. The Altarian scientist had been trying to contact her for hours, ever since the human evacuation began. She knew what he wanted to say, and it would only make leaving harder. Put him through, she said. The blue face of Dr. Vexmar appeared on the screen. His large eyes looked sad and confused. They had worked together for 3 years, studying how plants could grow in space without soil or much water. So-Young, he said in his musical voice, please tell me this is a mistake. You cannot all be leaving. Our research is almost complete. We are so close to creating food that could feed hungry worlds. I'm sorry, Vexmar, So-Young replied. The orders came from Earth. All humans are being called back. But why? The alien scientist's voice cracked with emotion. We are friends. We work well together. Your species and mine have never had any problems. So-Young felt her throat get tight. It was true. She had never felt more at home than when working with the alien scientists. They shared the same love of discovery, the same excitement when they found something new. The council has spoken, she said finally. They do not want us as members. Our governments have decided that all humans should return to human space. This makes no sense, Vexmar said, waving his thin arms. The council is just politics. Our work is about science, about helping people. You cannot let politicians destroy what we have built. So-Young wanted to agree with him. She wanted to stay and finish their work. But she had seen the look in Ambassador Hyan-Wu's eyes in his final message. Something had changed. This was not just about council membership anymore. "I have to go," she said softly. "Take care of yourself, old friend." She cut the connection before Vexmar could reply. She could not bear to see the hurt in his eyes anymore. Across the galaxy, the same scene was happening over and over. Dr. Tayman was packing up his laboratory on the mining world of Zarian 7. He had spent 6 years there, developing new ways to extract valuable metals without damaging the environment. His hegemony colleagues watched in shock as he sealed his research files and loaded them onto a human transport ship. "You are making a mistake," his supervisor, a rock-like being named Krolhak, told him. "Your contract runs for 3 more years. The penalties for breaking it will be severe." Tayman looked up from his packing. "All penalty fees will be paid in full," he said. "Humanity honors its commitments even when we are leaving." "But why leave at all?" Krolhak asked. His stone face could not show expression, but his voice sounded genuinely confused. "You have a good job here. You are respected. Your work has made this world cleaner and safer for everyone." Tayman paused in his packing. How could he explain that it was not about the job or even the work? It was about belonging somewhere. The Council had made it clear that humans would never truly belong in their galaxy. "Sometimes it is better to build something new than to keep fixing something that is broken," he said finally on the trade routes between star systems, human merchant. Ships were finishing their deliveries and then disappearing. Captain Jun-Ho had carried goods between Council worlds for 15 years. He knew every trade station, every port master, every shortcut through dangerous space. His cetacean business partner, Splash of Morning Light, met him at the Blue Harbor station for what they both knew would be the last time. "This is foolish." "Jun-Ho," the dolphin-like alien said through his water-filled speaking helmet. "We have built the most successful shipping business in this sector. Our customers trust us. Our crews depend on us. Our human crews will find new work," Jun-Ho replied. "As for the business, it is yours now, all of it. The ships, the contracts, the routes. Consider it a parting gift." Splash of Morning Light made the clicking sound that was his species' way of showing surprise. "You cannot give away a business worth millions of credits." "I can and I am," Jun-Ho said. "Humans will not be needing trade routes in Council space anymore." "Where will you go?" Jun-Ho looked out at the stars beyond the station's windows. "Wherever humans are welcome. If no such place exists, we will make one." The pattern was the same everywhere humans had made their homes in Council space. They packed their belongings, said goodbye to alien friends, and left. They did not argue or complain. They did not ask for special treatment. They simply honored their existing agreements and then departed. On the Council world of New Harmony, the planetary governor watched in growing alarm as human doctors, teachers, and engineers boarded the last transport ships. A third of his world's essential services had been run by humans. Who will operate the water purification plants? He asked his assistant, a nervous Catherian named Wexpol. "We are training local workers as fast as we can," Wexpol replied. "But it will take months to replace the humans' knowledge and experience." "And the hospitals?" "The human doctors have left detailed instructions. They have trained as many of our people as possible. But some of the more advanced procedures—" Wexpol's voice trailed off. The governor understood. "Those procedures might be lost entirely, back on Earth." President Minesio stood in her office, watching reports come in from across human space. The evacuation was proceeding faster than anyone had expected. Humans were not just leaving Council space, they were leaving it empty. "The trade stations are reporting massive shortages," her aide, Commander Kiwu, told her. Human traders carried 60% of the goods between the outer systems. Without them, some worlds might face shortages of food and medicine. "That is the Council's problem now," Minesio replied. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were hard. "They wanted us gone. We are granting their wish. What about our people who have alien friends? The reports say many are heartbroken to leave." Minesio's expression softened slightly. "I know. This is not easy for anyone." But sometimes you have to walk away from something good to find something better. And if there is nothing better out there, then we will build it ourselves, Minesio said firmly. Humans have always been good at building new homes. 3 months after the Council's rejection, the last human ship departed from Council space. They left behind empty buildings, abandoned research projects, and confused alien friends who could not understand why humanity was giving up everything they had worked for, but they also left behind something else, a galaxy that was about to discover how much it had depended on the species it had rejected. The first problem started within weeks. Trade routes that humans had maintained for decades began to fail. Research projects lost crucial data when human scientists took their knowledge with them. Worlds that had relied on human expertise found themselves struggling with systems they did not fully understand. In the council chambers, Prime Minister Veltar received reports of the growing problems, but he dismissed them as temporary issues that would solve themselves in time. He had no idea that humanity's departure was not an ending, but a beginning. Somewhere beyond the edge of known space, humans were about to discover what they could really accomplish when they were free to be themselves. The council had made their choice. Soon, they would learn what that choice would cost them. Admiral Kexivan floated in his command chair, staring at the empty space where the human research station used to be. 2 years had passed since the humans left council space, and the silence was getting louder every day. "Any signals from the outer rim?" he asked his communications officer. "Nothing, sir," came the reply. "The edge systems report the same thing they have for months: empty space. No human ships, no human signals, nothing." Kexivan made a sound that was like a sigh in his species. The Altarians had always been curious people, and the complete disappearance of humanity bothered him more than he cared to admit. Where had they all gone? What were they doing out there in the darkness beyond the galaxy's edge? His answer came 3 days later, but not in the way he expected. "Admiral," his tactical officer called out, his voice high with alarm. "We have reports of attacks on mining operations in the Epsilon sector. 3 installations hit in the past." "They? Pirates?" Kexivan asked, though he knew it was unlikely. The outer mining stations were too far from trade routes to be profitable targets for normal criminals. "Unknown, sir. The attack patterns are unlike anything in our databases. The ships appear to be using technology we have never seen before." Kexivan ordered his fleet to investigate. What they found when they reached the Epsilon sector changed everything. The mining station on Zarian 12 was completely empty. Not destroyed, not damaged, just empty. Every valuable piece of equipment was gone. Every gram of processed metals had vanished. Even the station's computers had been stripped of their memory cores. "It is like they took everything that was not bolted down," reported Captain Yulmer as he explored the abandoned station. "And then they took most of the things that were bolted down, too." "Any signs of the attackers?" "That is the strange part, sir. There are no weapon marks anywhere, no signs of fighting. It is as if the miners just opened the doors and let the raiders take whatever they wanted." More reports came in from other attack stations. The pattern was always the same. Raiders would appear from deep space, quickly remove everything valuable, and disappear back into the void. They never fought unless they had to, and when they did fight, they won easily. The few survivors who escaped the raids all told the same strange story. The raider ships looked like nothing they had ever seen. They moved in ways that seemed to break the laws of physics, and their technology was so advanced that council defenses might as well have been made of paper. Governor Thulman of the Epsilon sector sent urgent messages to the council, begging for help. "These are not ordinary pirates," he warned. "They know exactly what to take and how to take it. They strike fast and disappear before we can respond. Our patrol ships cannot even track them." In the council chambers, Intelligence Director Quindle presented her report to increasingly worried representatives. She was a hegemony agent trained to find patterns that others missed, but what she had discovered made no sense. "The raiders are using quantum drive technology that is at least 50 years ahead of our best systems," she told the assembly. "Their ships can appear and disappear without using normal jump points. They seem to know exactly where our patrols are at all times. Could they be spies from another galaxy? Asked Council Representative Morthuk. Possible, but unlikely, Quindle replied. The technology signatures are familiar in some ways, but advanced beyond anything we have seen. It is as if someone took our own science and pushed it centuries into the future. Prime Minister Veltar shifted uncomfortably in his floating pod. What about the humans? Could they be involved? The chamber fell silent. It seemed impossible. When humans left Council space, they had barely mastered basic faster-than-light travel. Their weapons were primitive. Their ships were simple and functional, but not particularly advanced. The quantum signatures do show some similarities to human technology, Quindle admitted, but the advancement level makes that connection seem impossible. No species develops that quickly. Unless, said a quiet voice from the back of the chamber, they already had the technology and were hiding it from us. The suggestion sent shockwaves through the council. Could humanity have been pretending to be less advanced than they really were? But why would they do such a thing? Chief Scientific Advisor Nexara stood up to address the assembly. She was one of the galaxy's leading experts on technology development, and her words carried weight. I have been studying the raider ship fragments we recovered, she said. The quantum resonance patterns are definitely based on human science, but evolved in ways that should be impossible. The materials used in their ship hulls contain elements that do not exist anywhere in our galaxy. What does that mean? Veltar asked. It means they have been to other galaxies, Nexara replied. And they have learned things there that we cannot even imagine. The implications were staggering. While the Council had been debating whether humans were worthy of membership, humanity had apparently been exploring beyond the edges of known space. They had made contact with other galactic civilizations. They had learned new sciences and developed technologies that made Council equipment look like ancient tools. How long would it take for a species to advance from human-level technology to what we are seeing now? Veltar asked. Nexara thought carefully before answering. Under normal circumstances, at least 500 years, maybe longer. But the humans have only been gone for 2 years. Exactly, Nexara said grimly. Which means either they already had this technology when they left, or they have access to knowledge and resources that we cannot comprehend. The debate that followed lasted for days. Some council members insisted that the raiders could not be human. Others wondered if humanity's entire first contact with the council had been an elaborate test to see how they would be received. The most frightening possibility was that humans had approached the council not because they needed membership, but because they were offering it as a gift, a chance to be part of something greater, a chance that the council had thrown away. Admiral Kexavon was given orders to lead an expedition into the void beyond the galaxy's rim, hoping to find answers about where humanity had gone and what they had become. His fleet of 12 ships represented the best technology the Council could offer. They found empty space where human colonies used to exist. They found abandoned research stations drifting in the void, stripped of all useful equipment but left otherwise intact. They found signs that massive fleets had passed through these regions, but no trace of where those fleets had gone. On one abandoned world, they found something that chilled them to their bones. Carved into the surface of a mountain was a message in multiple languages, including several council tongues. To those who come seeking us, we offered friendship and were rejected. We offered knowledge and were dismissed. We offered cooperation and were judged unworthy. We bear no anger toward those who made these choices, but we will not make the same mistake twice. Seek us not in the spaces you know, but in the dreams you have forgotten how to dream. Below the message was a simple symbol, a human handprint surrounded by stars. Kexavon stared at the message for a long time. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of everything the council thought they knew, humanity was building something new. Something the council had chosen to reject before they ever had a chance to understand what they were rejecting. The raids on the outer systems continued, but now they felt different. Not like attacks, but like reminders. Reminders that the galaxy had become a smaller, quieter place without humanity in it. and in the growing darkness beyond the rim, something vast and wonderful was taking shape. Something that the council might never be invited to see again. The alarm system screamed across every council world at the same time. Fleet Admiral Yexthar had never heard such a sound of pure terror in all his years of military service. His flagship shook as something massive appeared on the edge of the outer rim. Report, he barked at his sensor officer. Admiral, we have contacts emerging from deep space. Massive biological signatures, they are... The officer's voice broke. They are eating the carrion system, sir. Yexthar stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The dots representing the 3 planets of the carrion system were disappearing, one by one as something vast and hungry consumed them entirely. Get me visual, he ordered. The main screen filled with an image that would haunt the survivors for the rest of their lives. Creatures the size of moons floated through space like living ships. Their surfaces pulsed with organic lights, and long tentacle-like appendages reached out to wrap around entire planets. As the council fleet watched, the creatures simply absorbed. The worlds they touched, growing larger and stronger with each meal. By the void, whispered someone on the bridge. What are those things? The answer came from the science officer, his voice shaking. Admiral, the quantum signatures suggest these are extragalactic entities. They appear to be some form of living ships that consume matter to reproduce and grow. How many? Sensors show at least 50 large entities, with hundreds of smaller ones, and more are still emerging from dark space. Yexthar had fought in 3 major wars during his career. He had faced pirates, rebels, and hostile alien species. But this was different. This was not an enemy that could be negotiated with or defeated through normal tactics. This was a force of nature, a cosmic plague that devoured everything in its path. All ships battle formation, he commanded. We make our stand here. The council fleet moved to intercept the creatures, but the battle was over almost before it began. The living ships adapted to every weapon fired at them. Energy beams that should have burned through their hulls were absorbed and used to make them stronger. Kinetic missiles simply bounced off their organic armor or were caught and digested. Worse, every council ship that was destroyed seemed to make the creatures smarter. They learned from each attack, developing new defenses and counterattacks with frightening speed. They are evolving in real time, the science officer reported as another council ship was torn apart by writhing tentacles. Each engagement teaches them how to fight us better. Yexthar watched his fleet die around him. In less than an hour, 37 ships had been destroyed or consumed. The creatures had barely slowed down. All remaining ships, fall back, he ordered. Send emergency signals to all council worlds. Tell them the outer rim is lost. His message reached the council chambers just as emergency reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The creatures, which the scientists were calling the Void Swarm, were not limited to one attack vector. They had emerged from dark space at dozens of points around the galaxy's edge and were consuming everything in their path. Prime. Minister Veltar looked at the tactical map with growing horror. Red zones marked areas where the swarm had already consumed entire systems. Yellow zones showed areas under attack. The green zones representing safe space were shrinking by the hour. How long until they reached the core worlds? He asked, military. Advisor Kexron did quick calculations. At their current rate of advance, perhaps 10 days. Maybe less if they continue to grow stronger with each world they consume. Options? We could try to evacuate the most important worlds, suggested Intelligence Director Quindle. Save what population we can and retreat deeper into the galaxy, and then what? Veltar demanded. Keep running until we reach the galactic center? These things will just follow us and grow stronger with every world they devour. The chamber fell silent. Everyone understood what no one wanted to say out loud. The council was facing extinction, and they had no weapons that could stop it. It was in that moment of despair that communications officer Telver made an announcement that changed everything. Prime Minister, we are receiving a transmission. It is coming from outside the galaxy, but the signal is stronger than anything we have ever detected. The source appears to be human. Every eye in the chamber turned to the main viewing screen as the transmission came through. The face that appeared was familiar to many of them. President Min Seo of Earth looked exactly as she had 5 years ago, but there was something different about her. Her clothes were strange, made of materials that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Behind her, they could see the interior of a ship that was clearly far beyond anything in Council space. "Greetings, Galactic Council," she said, her voice calm and professional. "We have been monitoring your situation with the entities you call the Void Swarm." Prime Minister Veltar found his voice. "President Menesio, we did not know you. We're still ... Where are you?" Menesio smiled, but it was not a happy expression. "We are where we have always been, Prime Minister. Exploring the universe and learning from those who are willing to teach us." The image expanded, showing more of the ship's interior. Council members gasped as they saw other beings moving in the background. Aliens unlike anything in their databases, wearing technology that made their most advanced equipment look primitive. "The Void Swarm," Minesio continued, "are known to us. We encountered them 2 years ago in the Andromeda Galaxy, where they had consumed roughly half the civilizations before the survivors learned to work together to stop them." "Andromeda?" Veltar could barely speak. "That is over 2 million light-years away. Distance becomes less important when you have the right friends and the right technology," Minesio replied. "Which brings me to why I am contacting you." The view changed again, showing massive structures floating in space. Not ships, but entire cities among the stars. Habitats that could house billions of beings, powered by energies that bent space and time itself. "This is what humanity has become in the 5 years since we left your space," Minesio said. "Not through conquest or force, but through cooperation with species you have never encountered. Through exploration of realms you have never imagined. Through facing challenges that you have never dreamed of." Council members stared in amazement at the images flowing past. Fleets of ships that numbered in the millions. Technologies that manipulated matter at the quantum level. Beings from dozens of different galaxies working together in perfect harmony. "When we approached your council 5 years ago," Minesio continued, "we were not asking for membership because we needed it. We were offering it because we thought you might be ready to join something greater than yourselves." The implication hit the chamber like a physical blow. Humanity had not been seeking to join the council. They had been inviting the council to join them. "You judged us by the limited technology we chose to share," Minesio said, "never asking what we might be capable of. You saw our adaptability as chaos without recognizing it as our greatest strength. You viewed our desire to explore as aggression, without understanding it as love for discovery." Prime Minister Veltar felt something cold settle in his stomach. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that the council had a chance to be part of something magnificent from the beginning. Instead, you chose to see us as unworthy of your civilization." Minesio paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was softer but somehow more final. "The Intergalactic Alliance has debated your situation. We could easily stop the Void Swarm. Our technology, combined with the knowledge of species who have faced them before, makes them no more than a minor inconvenience." Hope flared in the chamber. "Then you will help us?" "That depends," Minesio replied, "on whether you have learned anything from your mistakes." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Outside, the Void Swarm continued its relentless advance toward the core worlds. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Council faced a choice that would determine not just their political future, but their very survival. 3 more worlds died while the Council debated. Prime Minister Veltar watched the tactical displays as red zones spread across the galaxy like an infection. Billions of beings fled their homes, cramming onto refugee ships that struggled to stay ahead of the Void Swarm's advance. The debates in the council chamber had turned desperate. Some members demanded immediate surrender to the Alliance, begging for help at any price. Others argued that accepting help from humanity would mean admitting their entire civilization was a failure. "We cannot show weakness," insisted Council. Representative Zexthel, his crystal body flashing angry red colors. "If we bow to the humans now, we will never be seen as equals again." "What equals?" snapped Governor Thalman, who had fled his sector when the swarm consumed it. "My people are dead or scattered, my worlds are gone. What dignity is there in extinction?" Veltar raised a hand for silence. The chamber quieted, but he could feel the fear and desperation radiating from every member. They all knew the truth, even if some would not say it out loud. The council was dying and only humanity could save them. "I will send a personal message to President Min Seo," he announced. Not as Prime Minister speaking to a foreign leader, but as one being asking another for help. The recording he made was simple and honest. No diplomatic language, no attempts to save face. Just an old alien admitting his mistakes to someone he had wronged. "President Min Seo," he began, looking directly into the camera, "I was wrong. I let fear and prejudice guide my judgment when you came to us seeking membership. I saw your people as a threat because they were different, not because they were dangerous." He paused, gathering his courage for what came next. "I'm not asking you to save the council because we deserve it. I'm asking because the billions of innocent beings who are dying never had a voice in our decision. They trusted us to lead them wisely, and we failed them." He ended the message with words he had never thought he would say, "We need you." Not as subjects asking for mercy, but as students hoping to learn from teachers who have become wiser than we ever imagined. The reply came faster than anyone expected, not through official diplomatic channels, but directly to the council chambers. The viewing screen activated, and Ambassador Haiyan Wu appeared exactly as he had 7 years earlier when the council rejected humanity's membership, but he was not alone. Around him stood beings that the council had never seen before, creatures made of living crystal that pulsed with inner light, beings that seemed to be made of pure energy contained in flowing robes, others that defied description entirely, their forms shifting between dimensions. "The Intergalactic Alliance has voted," Haiyan Wu announced, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. "We will assist in stopping the Void Swarm." Relief flooded through the assembled council members, but Han Wu was not finished speaking. "However, you should understand that we do this not because we owe the council anything, but because every sentient species deserves the chance to grow and learn from their mistakes." The ambassador stepped forward, and the aliens around him did the same. As they moved, their forms became clearer, and the council members realized they were looking at the representatives of dozens of different galactic civilizations. "The Alliance spans 17 different galaxies," Haiyan Wu continued. "It includes over 10,000 different species, each bringing their own knowledge and perspective to our shared growth. When humanity left your space, we did not retreat. We went looking for others who shared our vision of what the universe could become." On the tactical displays around the chamber, new contacts appeared throughout the galaxy. Ships that moved without any visible means of propulsion. Entities that existed partially in normal space and partially in dimensions the Council had no words for. Technologies that treated the laws of physics as suggestions rather than absolute rules. The battle against the Void Swarm was swift and decisive. Where Council weapons had been absorbed or deflected, Alliance technology turned the Swarm's own adaptive abilities against them. Ships that fed on energy were given energy that transformed them into harmless space plants. Creatures that grew stronger by consuming matter were fed materials that made them content to sleep rather than devour. In less than a day, the threat that had nearly destroyed galactic civilization was contained and gently guided back to the void between galaxies where it belonged. When it was over, Ambassador Haiyan Wu stood once again before the council chamber. But this time, he was not asking for anything. He was offering something far greater than membership. "The Alliance extends an invitation to the Galactic Council," he said. "Not to join us as subjects or subordinates, but to begin the long process of learning to think beyond your current limitations." Prime Minister Veltar rose from his seat, his voice heavy with the weight of understanding. And if we had accepted you 7 years ago? Hyun-woo's expression grew sad. Then you would have been part of something magnificent from the beginning. Instead of having to earn your way back into the conversation, he paused, looking around at the faces of the beings who had once rejected his people. Some mistakes can be forgiven, Veltar, but they cannot be undone. The question now is whether you are ready to learn from them. The debate that followed was unlike any in the Council's history. For the first time, they were not arguing about territory or resources or political power. They were discussing whether the civilization was ready to admit that they had been thinking too small. The vote, when it finally came, was unanimous. Every single council member voted to accept the Alliance's invitation to begin learning how to become something greater than they had ever imagined possible. But they all understood what Hyun-woo had meant. They could be forgiven for their mistakes, but they could never undo them. They would always be the civilization that had rejected humanity when they could have been partners from the beginning. Years passed. Council species worked alongside Alliance. Mentors, learning sciences that expanded their understanding of reality itself. Their worlds became stepping stones for young civilizations making their first journeys beyond their home systems. A galaxy transformed from an endpoint into a beginning, and sometimes, when the council chambers were quiet, Veltar would look at the empty space where Ambassador Hyun-woo had once stood pleading for acceptance. He would wonder what marvels they might have discovered together if only they had been wise enough to say yes. When it mattered most, the stars held no answers to that question. They simply shone on, lighting the way for those brave enough to reach for them with open hands and open hearts. In the end, the Council learned the hardest lesson of all, that some opportunities, once lost, can never be reclaimed. They could build something new from the ashes of their mistakes, but they would always carry the knowledge of what they had thrown away. When fear ruled over wisdom, humanity had offered them a place in something wonderful. When they refused, humanity had simply gone ahead and built something even more wonderful without them. The Council had learned to be grateful for second chances, but they would spend the rest of their existence knowing that some first chances never come again.